What is going on, YouTube? Back with another live Mondays with Mike. And yeah, let's kind of wait for some people to get on. Just going to message a couple people. And see who gets on. What's up, Andy? In my house, chilling, still waiting on all of our business stuff in our house to arrive. It's been 3 weeks now, and it got pushed back even more. So hopefully finally going to feel settled here in North Carolina. And yeah, if you guys have questions when you're joining, I know a few of you have been on here before. Basically, the way I do it is just leave a comment in the box, bottom right side. If you have a question on parts, what you should do for your build, I can chime in. Other people in the group can comment on it. If you're wondering about an order, I'd rather not do it on here, but if you have a quick question, I can maybe answer it. Just stuff that's going on with our builds. Any questions Honda related? If you have a question about something else, even like the history of Axion or other things, you guys can ask. Most of the people that come on here every Monday have probably heard it like three or four times. So hopefully once I get settled, we'll get some more merch back in. This one, the old school ones. One of the hoodies I had done a long time ago. I find it real hard to actually find reputable companies. The last company that did my shirts, I didn't really care for the stuff, and their service was decent, but they messed the order up like 3 times, and then the quality on the shirt just wasn't the best. So I'm gonna probably reach out to a couple different companies that have seen t-shirts and ask where they've got theirs done, just so you know, can get something a little bit better. But hopefully we'll have some more merch back. I didn't really want to order much knowing we were moving to North Carolina, so kept the amount of stuff we have in stock right now, kind of trying to limit it just so we're not paying for a bunch of stuff to move across the country. What's up, man? How are you doing? Cool. Looks like we got quite a few people in here to start this week, so slowly growing week by week. If you're new here, like I said, just ask a question in the comment section. That's why we come on here, is just to talk Hondas. Eventually, if the group is a lot more fun, I'll probably invest in some better camera equipment and maybe actually have some other people live on the channel with us. But right now, I just kind of do it just to reach out more to the community so you can get on here and ask questions about parts, builds, whatever. Oh man, that's so fun. I actually just, I mean, it's not related to surgery, but during the move, one of my teeth cracked and need a root canal. So I've been like, obviously the expense of moving a whole business and house and everything. And then on top of that, now I've got to take care of teeth stuff from a cracked tooth. So it's not fun. Andy, I'll check on your turbo tomorrow to see if there's an updated date on it. I know it's due to ship any day now, so I'll go ahead and reach out to them and see what's up. See if we have a date yet on the turbo. It should be any day now. But yeah, just I booked my trip back to Phoenix for to go back and work on our 11th gen Civic. So it'll be early March to mid-March. I'm headed back there. The swap will be all installed. At least the engine and transmission will be installed in the car, and then it goes off for custom fab work for the turbo kit stuff. But I'll have a couple more videos launching this week on the 11th gen, and then the actual install of the K20 C4 into the 11th gen mid-March. So definitely look out for that one. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. pretty amazing. I never even thought we would ever get to this because I haven't really used YouTube for a while, and then I just kind of started over the last year and a half, probably really putting in a little bit of time into it, not really expecting much of it, and slowly growing. So yeah, pretty cool. It's an honor to even reach 10,000. I know it's not a lot of people, but it means a lot to us. And yeah, I hope to make that, dollar a month wage from YouTube would be nice. And hopefully get some of these cars further along this year. I just feel like every year I keep saying we're gonna have one of our cars at the track, have one of our, and then just another year goes by and another year goes by. So hopefully this year we'll have some good stuff, but we're working on some good things. So that's all that matters. Business has been great. I think it's probably the best January I've ever had. Maybe on par with COVID 2021, maybe. But yeah, all I like to see is, you know, keep the business growing every year. That's all that matters to me, and not going backwards. Um, I do have to say, there's a lot of parts that are starting to go out of stock for a lot of companies right now. So I'm kind of worried how coming into March and April are going to get with inventory with a lot of companies. We'll see how that goes. There's a lot of companies with parts, but certain ones are definitely some are 2 to 3, 4 weeks. It's good to see PRL have definitely got back on track with a lot of their shipping stuff, which is finally good because that was the biggest headache for the last year was just everything going on with their logistics company and stuff. So finally, what's up, Clayton? Good to see you on. I know it's not a VTech Academy on here, but I can only talk about so much by myself. So I like to get on. A lot of people like to ask some questions here. Yeah, the OEM parts are. I mean, here's the thing: when you're buying, well, we do a lot of Accord and TLX and RDX turbo swaps. So a lot of people have been really upset because a lot of the turbos are back ordered for the Type R. And mainly that's due to the amount of people with the release of the brand new Type R and Integra and the amount of people that are modifying them right now. So, before those came up, the kind of demand was slowing down from the FK8 turbos. And now you have another ramp up of all the aftermarket turbos flying off the shelves because, people are throwing them on the FL5 and DE5 Civic and Integra. So, I know I have RV6 in stock, MHI Stage 2s are in stock, PRLs are in stock. It's just the OEM stuff has been difficult to get. Yeah, it's fun trying to have people on. I need to try and once I get all settled here, I'll probably reach out to some people. I might have a live feed type thing. I'm going to be trying to, if I can get the time this year, to visit Acuity and probably head up to Chicago and visit RV6, maybe do live feeds with them. I need to try and get a PRL visit, but I honestly don't even know really anyone that works there anymore. So I don't have the sales guy I have pretty much with PRL doesn't even work at PRL. So, but there's still a couple people I still know at PRL. So hopefully get with them. Yeah, and maybe do another passport thing when I'm back in Phoenix again. It'd be cool to be on VTech Academy again. It was a while back. It'd just be fun with a bunch of them all in the room together. Like the last time, it was a good conversation. So yeah, enjoying North Carolina. The weather's amazing here. It's a little cold again, but it's pretty cold in Arizona too from time to time. So yeah, if you have a question on parts, just throw it in the comments. I'll answer it. And not really much to talk about. Obviously, a lot of our stuff is in limbo right now because of the move and everything. But we do have quite a few videos that I put together before we moved to business, which will be, I'll probably post one tomorrow night. Probably the episode 3 on the K swap in the 11th gen. Just going over some stuff. It's going to be a long series, but I wanted to get the information out there for people that are really serious about doing the swap. And I may do a video on the fit swap again, or a live stream just on the fit swap with the L15 and go over everything, what's needed, because I had a lot of customers that were like, yo, when's the swap going to be done? Why is it taking so long? I'm ready. I've got the cash, blah, blah, blah. And then we launched the swap on our site. I literally have not had one person buy it, which I pretty much expected from day one. Nothing against the fit people. I love a lot of those dudes. But the problem is they're like other certain sectors of the Honda community where they're a section that really doesn't get a lot of parts. And they complain all the time for that. And then you put in a lot of money and effort to make things happen, and then bring something to market, and then it's completely lit, just a ghost town. And a lot of people will complain about companies like, well, why don't you make parts for my car? And the fact is who wants to do tooling of $20,000 when you're only going to sell 5 parts? So, it's a lot of these people do it. I saw Mike at Track Stuff brought something out about the D series guys and how they all bitch online about, where's our parts? Nobody makes anything for us. And then he does a lot of R&D stuff and brings something to market, and then nobody buys them. And then he's stuck with all these things that everyone supposedly wanted, and he can't sell them. So there's a huge financial thing with this, and I'm kind of going through it too with our downpipe that we make, because the very limited produced items, not a business like PRL that can make thousands at a time, and they're pretty much just made by small batches. They're all in-house, TIG welded, made in the U.S., not in China, and they take time. And I'm still, typically I've been in business since 2009, but we're still a small business compared to a lot of other companies, and we just started getting into manufacturing, and there's a lot of things that come into play when you do that. So yeah, that's how it goes all the time. I've seen it time and time again with all these people, and a lot of people. It's like with Hasport, people will write them all the time, like, "Oh man, you guys don't make mounts for us. You don't make mounts for us," and then Hasport will probably spend $20,000 in tooling, and then nobody ends up buying them, and it's a lot of money for these companies with us. And the other thing is, it's a lot of time. That's the thing that people don't understand. Like, some of these companies don't have the time to just throw out, hours and hours of R&D into a part that isn't going to sell. So yeah, you got to pay to play. That's what I always say. I mean, look, the Honda Fit swap is not cheap. I don't expect people to shell out $11,000 for a swap. But is it worth it? Hell yeah. I mean, you cannot modify those things to make much horsepower, especially the newer ones, because it's just the electronics are so picky on these cars. But I mean, the fact that you can have literally a 300 horsepower, 2 wheels, 300 torque L15 in there for 11 grand is a blast. So, yeah, there's a couple parts I would love Brian to make, and I mean, I think they would sell really well, and I've talked to him, but he's just too busy with too many other projects, and until Hasport can keep up with all the orders, they're not going to expand their line anymore, because there's just no point. Yeah, money is a tough thing, especially in this day and age. It's just a very scary time to invest a lot of money in certain things. Yeah, I mean, I tell people what I've paid just in fab work on our ninth gen Civic, and people are like, "No fucking way." I don't think people have a clue of what, some places charge per hour, and the amount of hours to just even make a roll cage is ridiculous. Yeah, that's why we left. I mean, honestly, I love Phoenix, and Arizona will always be in my mind like an amazing, amazing state. It's still near and dear to me. I still have my dad there and a lot of friends. It just got too expensive. Um, there isn't as many race events anymore on the West Coast. They're kind of dying out. I mean, the gas is crap. I mean, 91 octane from California. Um, the insurance is expensive. The electricity is just mind blowing how much electricity is in the summer to just run a house with AC. Our bill for our house was right around 600 a month in electricity. So yeah, North Carolina, Tennessee. Look, it's a great place. I love it here. I mean, I'm far from any major city, and I kind of chose that and wanted that. I just like a slower pace of life with people that actually are nice and acknowledge people and not just this rat race type of lifestyle that big cities offer. It's not my thing. So that's why we chose here. And, you know, North Carolina offers a lot of racing, unlike a lot of states. And hopefully that'll never change. So, yeah, I don't think people even understand it these days. I mean, to get a custom set of axles is like a 6 month wait. There's a dude on here doing a K20 C4 swap, and he had a lot of difficulties with the company. Um, and I don't want to go into it too much because I didn't really watch his whole video. And obviously, there's always two sides to the story because I hear this from kids writing and whining about parts that took 2 weeks to get. And it always goes both ways. But he was waiting like 6 months on axles. And I'm like, dude, that's totally normal. Like, these swaps take a long time now unless you plan it all out ahead of time. Like, do not just take out your engine and be like, okay, I'm going to swap it next week. Like, you need to buy all the parts ahead of time, double check what you have, triple check if you need a car that gets you from point A to point B. Like, luckily, my Civic is an extra car. I don't care about it. So, but not everyone has that luxury. So, yeah, I'm still in the middle. We're actually going to kind of be building something here. We got a decent amount of land on the property. I don't want to rent anything, so we're actually going to build a place to do all our racking and bay to work on the car. So I don't really want the business to expand too far. I know a lot of people want these massive places. I don't like a lot of overhead. I like to still enjoy life and not make work 24/7, even though it already is. But so I don't know who the kid was. He has a 10th gen Civic. I don't know who he was buying axles from. It was basically a company that said they could custom make them for a K20 C4 swap. But yeah, he was, showing all the email messages back and forth. And I mean, the guy at the company wasn't really talking to him the right way either. So I see his point, but it's just some people just don't understand how long things take. Yeah, I had a guy today. I mean, for all I know, he could be watching the video. He ordered some Type R parts. It's been a while. And like I said at the start of the video, Type R stuff is just huge back order. Well, I buy my stuff direct from Honda, and then they just ship it direct to someone or ship it to me. And it's been a while, but we've probably gone over about 98 emails back and forth. And he told me about this like policy, a 30-day ship policy. How I'm basically infringing on the rights of him and some stupid stuff. But he didn't actually read the fine print that actually said there's a law about a 30-day ship thing, but that's when you advertise cars. So technically, Axion doesn't really advertise anything on. I don't spend any money on advertising. If I am online, I will tell people what's in stock and what's not. Uh, yeah, it's just interesting what people come up with. Yeah, I mean, I know Hasport when they were making axles, I think they even stopped for the most part selling them. But it was like some of the joints in that they were like a year and a half wait. Just crazy. Uh, cool. Oh, you're going to is that the IBOC meet in May? I used to love that event. The only reason I won't go there, obviously I'm from California originally. Um, I would never take a modified car in there because I just feel like the California police are such dicks. They will literally fuck with anyone leaving the event. They usually don't. When I was going, I mean, this was like 10 years ago. Yeah, IBOC. That's actually a pretty fun event. But yeah, it's just driving anything modified in California has gotten to be a complete hassle now. Even to the point like they can pull you over three separate times if you're driving with an exhaust and give you three separate tickets, even though you didn't have time to get home and take it off the car. Yeah, I keep wondering when a lot of these companies are going to end up moving out of that state because it's so bad for modifying cars now, which is so sad because that's really where the Honda scene started and why it became what it is today. And I mean, I remember I lived there almost 10 years ago. I left California, but I remember I would be driving in my car and you would look up ahead and it would be closed down to one lane. The only reason I'm talking about this is a lot of people in the country have no idea this stuff even exists. And this, remember, this is 10 years ago. And the lane would go down to one lane and you'd be like, oh, construction. And you see a CHP guy up ahead and you're like, okay. Well, you start rolling through and they got a video camera out and they've got a sniffer and you drive through this thing. And if your exhaust is blowing dirty, they take a picture and videotape of the car and then they send you a referee inspection in the mail and make you go get the car refereed. If you even have one modification on your car, they can impound your car. And I ended up getting caught a long, long time ago with a Subaru I owned. This was probably 2001, so 23 years ago. And I got pulled over for an intake, and I had to go to a referee station 23 years ago. And I took everything off the car. The car was heavily modified, and put it all back to stock. The only thing I had on it was an Apexy AFC and an Apexy Turbo boost controller. I actually hid those up under the dash behind the glove box because I didn't want to have to take everything off the car. And the referee ended up finding them on the car. And I got a call, and the guy said, "Okay, come get your car. It's ready." He goes, "However, you need to take these other two things off the car." And he goes, "If they're back on the car or I find one modification, the car is owned by the state at this point." So they don't mess around there. I just didn't want to be part of that lifestyle anymore living there. So I left. Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, I used to be scared back then because I would get targeted for several cars that I owned because they were pretty noticeable back in the day. And it would be annoying driving around and just, you're driving by a cop and all of a sudden you look back and there's a U-turn and you get pulled over again. Yeah, I never had one problem in Phoenix. The cops are actually really cool about modified cars there. And so, yeah, Cali's Cali's horrible. I mean, if you want to modify a car there, if you like guns and modifying cars, it's like the worst state to live in besides New York. And there's a couple other states I could probably think of. Yeah. I mean, I grew up there and then I moved to Europe for a long time and then back to California. I just couldn't take it anymore. So yeah, anyone, I see there's quite a few people online. If you come in and you want to know questions on parts, just shoot it in the comments. I'd love to answer anything. Um, your Type R intercooler should be shipping next week. I just got an email from PRL. They're finishing them up, and it should either be this week or next week. So I just wanted to let you know. I've been meaning to write you, and I was like, oh, I'll probably see him on the little Mondays with Mike. So, anyways, your Type R intercooler is going to be shipped hopefully this week or next week. Fingers crossed. I'm pretty sure PRL are getting a lot of parts done that will be ready to ship within February because I'm assuming they're anticipating obviously how busy March and April is. So yeah, Florida is a cool state. I just didn't want to move there. It's still pretty expensive. Hurricane stuff, even though I get it here in North Carolina. And but the nice thing is, I mean, literally have like an hour flight. We're down there. My wife and I might go down to the Keys in July, maybe. Still not sure about that, but we'll see. But yeah, I actually got to go to Florida and meet with P2R, another company I really want to finally go down and hang out with them for a little bit and talk some J series stuff. And I've been wanting them to do some custom stuff for us. So hopefully that'll happen, along with 1,000 other things that I want to have happen. Yeah, I mean, it's bad when I can't even ship an intake to the state. I mean, just ridiculous. These things do nothing as far as environmental doing anything. I understand the downpipes being a thing. I get it. But an intake on a car, I mean, come on. It's honestly, all these laws are is for the state to make some cheap revenue because they're in such a financial fiasco because they don't know how to run the state. So they just impose things on normal tax-paying citizens and, easy income. Yeah, the list never ends. Yep, money makes the world go round. Did any of you guys see or any of the footage from the WRC event that happened this weekend? I think it was in Finland. I can't remember what country it was, but it was pretty sick video footage of all these people on this snowy mountainside with just red flares everywhere and fireworks going off. It's all the rally cars were flying by them at 100 miles an hour. It's pretty sick. If you haven't seen it, you'll have to look it up on YouTube. I saw it on some Instagram feeds. It was pretty cool. Real quick, if you guys are needing parts, just go on our website. Tons of stuff, tons of great deals. There's still a lot of states we don't charge tax to. It just depends on what state you are, and we do free shipping. So I see a lot of people paying for all this stuff with certain large companies, and you can help out smaller businesses by supporting them like us and other companies. So, what turbo? MHI stage 2 for the 2-liter. I mean, that's considering they're going on ethanol with the plan maybe of going meth one day. If you just want a simple 93 octane, just go with an FK8 or an FL5 turbo. But I mean, for me, you're better off just buying an MHI stage 2. I think with the Accord stuff now, not a lot of you understand. PRL stopped making the just the arm for that. So you can't actually use your Accord actuator anymore. So if you buy a RB6 or PRL turbo, you're going to have to buy the 12-bar actuator now, which is $240. So that's on top of the 2,600 you're already spending. And honestly, on these Accords, it's just not. There's no point. There's not enough fuel to do those massive turbos. And like Andy's car is running the MHI stage turbo, the fastest 6-speed in the world. And Alex Bleach, he's the fastest auto, both running MHI stage 2s. You're getting a quick spooling turbo, great cost. It's OEM specs basically, where you have the reliability of an OEM style turbo built. So, I mean, I've yet to really see one of those turbos fail, and I've seen some of the others fail. So, but yeah, it's a great turbo. I mean, I had it on our shop RDX, which was a blast. I really wish that we had the 4-bar map sensor update when I had that car, and we could have gone meth, but K-Tuner hadn't released the map sensor option yet. So we were just stuck to stock map sensors on our RDX. Yeah, and that thing just keeps ticking and ticking. Yeah, I almost was going to do some off-road cars on the RDX and have fun with it, but I just chose to just keep it a simple. But I miss that SUV. That was probably, with the turbo mod, it's one of the most fun cars I've actually had, which is that, you know, it's roomy. The interior is really nice with the Alcantara. You've got the 10-speed auto, all-wheel drive. You know, we made 400 horsepower, 400 torque. You can't beat it. I mean, it's one of the best things Honda's made. I mean, I know there's a lot of RDX people that will probably question my output on that, and they think it's a piece of shit. You know, some of them, I mean, not every car is going to work perfect from factory, and some have more issues. I know they had the rear tailgate, the glass keeps shattering on a lot of people. And I think touchscreen stuff was hit or miss for certain people, but for me, I never had one issue with the car. If I was going to buy one, it would be a 2020 or a 19. I would not buy a 21 or 20. I definitely wouldn't buy a 22 or 23 because they've changed up transmission. Not as harsh, and I like that firm shifting. It's yeah, I never had any. I'm trying to think if I had any breakish noise issues. I never had any on mine. Not that I know of. And I was going to change it. We actually, with Fast Brakes, made a kit with Fast Brakes for the RDX, also a big 14-inch 2-piece kit, which was pretty sick. But I ended up selling the RDX and just sold it to a customer. So. But yeah, super fun. I mean, maybe one day down the road, I might buy one if I can find one with high miles. I would one again. They were pretty cool. Yeah, if you guys want to post some of your favorite Hondas in the comments, I'd love to comment on different body styles or whatever. I think for me, one of my favorite Hondas I've ever owned was probably my '06 RSX Type S. Super fun car. Had the highest horsepower out of all the RSXs. Transmission was beautiful. Interior was nice. You know, with just even like 3 or 4 mods, the thing was pretty quick. Oh, that would be nice. S2000. I don't really fit well in an S2000. Yeah, the old wagons are 6. I don't know if you guys have watched, if you guys have Peacock, you gotta go watch the new Ted, TV series. There's only 7 episodes, but the chick in there actually drives one of the older, four-door Civics, which I actually really love. Um, there used to be a guy, I can't remember, it was a Hispanic dude in California, he used to have, like, a burgundy turbo one way back in the day. I mean, and I think it used to run, like, 10.8s or something, and that thing was super sick. Yeah, I still like the EKs is probably one of my favorite. Yeah, you can use the same stock turbo inlet on the Accord. If you're gonna use the stock, turbo inlet, you need to, grind down part where the actuator actually hits on the stock inlet pipe. So, that's the only thing. And obviously, you move the O2 sensor to the downpipe when you do the turbo swap because the FL5 or the FK8 turbos don't have the O2 sensor on the turbo. Hence, that's why you need a downpipe when you do a turbo swap. All these little things, but that's why I wanted to come on here. It's more for people if you're wanting to do something, instead of asking online where you're gonna get a lot of shitty responses from people that don't know anything, I'd rather have people come in here and ask people like us and Andy that have done this a million times or, Clayton that actually know Hondas and can give you real information. Yeah, the four-door SI, the 8th gen are still those are really nice. I don't know, there's so many great Hondas. I actually still had I had a CU2 TSX that actually was pretty fun. It was a 6-speed. Um, and it pretty much has the 9th gen Civic Si motor in it. Um, that was actually a lot of fun. The only thing is it's just such a heavy car for any all-motor use, and that motor is only good if it's turboed, so yeah, the TX wagons are sick. But yeah, like I said, I mean, you need to do just like a J series 6-speed swap. Yeah, it's funny, like, when the 10th gen Accord came out, I honestly remember seeing how big it was and just thinking, like, "This car's never gonna be that quick. It's just way too big." And then here we are, 5 years later or 6 years later, and, an OEM block, basically an OEM trans is running 11.1 in the quarter mile, which is insane to me. Yeah, Andy's is really cool, and especially when he's got his slicks on it, it just looks fantastic. Andy, did you end up getting rid of all your 9th gen Civic parts, or you still got all those laying around? I'm pretty sure you'll get 10s pretty easy. I can't s I would say like a 10.7 with what you're doing, and then maybe more once you get used to the setup and dial it in better. Oh, shit, okay, cool. Yeah, well, definitely the 6 speeds are super hard to find. But I mean, I haven't really looked, so I'm just assuming I mean, they didn't make many of them. Yeah, it's definitely I mean, now that the 11th gen came out, people are like it was kinda like what happened with the 8th gen. Um, the minute the 9th gen came out and they changed the K series to that, single manifold and pretty much did away with any decent NA K series. I mean, the amount of people that wanted an 8th gen at that point was just through the roof, you know? Fact is, you can just head swap a night gen, it's not a big deal, but back then, it was like I just remember the amount of people that would just trash talk the night gen Civic because of the engine design, basically, and that's what really got our business started was because so many companies were like, "Oh, this is crap, like, I don't believe in it, I don't this is garbage," and I ended up buying one and, putting in a decent amount of money into it. Literally became one of the people out there that people went to for ninth gen content because I had done an RBC swap on our TSX 2.5 years before the ninth gen even came out. So I already knew all the information for swapping manifolds. And yeah, that's really what I mean. I don't do a ton of ninth gen stuff now because other companies basically told customers I was going bankrupt and was going to sell off the company and not to order parts from me because they would never get them. And I'm not going to say the name on here um, because this was quite a while ago. But yeah, they really stole a lot of customers from me. And it's kind of sad how, things, I look at the night gen group now, and even though we have the world's only J swap night gen, like people probably are like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, I've never even heard of them. I'm like, I'm the dude that was selling more PRL parts than PRL was selling. So and I remember Pat from PRL calling us probably back in 2013, and he was talking to me, and he's like, "Dude, you literally sell more PRL parts than PRL do." And I mean, that for me was like, wow, like I can't even believe this. And back then, we weren't even doing that much business compared to what I do now. I mean, but yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, I still get, a decent amount of orders, but it's not like it used to be. Um, a lot of those, obviously that market's died off completely because so many people have modified their cars and there's so many used parts out there. And, um, but yeah, crazy times. I can't even believe a company would even stoop that low, but that's what happens when you get desperate. Yeah, we don't speak that name. I had a lot of sales guys that like to talk trash, and I really didn't want to be that company because it just wasn't me. But I can't really tell my sales guys what they can and can't say online to a point. These guys, they were just kind of making commission for a little while off me. They weren't really employees, so yeah. But everything's now that owner sold for like the third time. The new guys that run it, everything's fine now. But yeah, for a while back then, a long time ago, it was not a pleasant time. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even see them as like a threat to be honest anymore because they're you know they're just doing their thing, which is the ninth gen stuff, and I do way more beyond that with all the newer stuff. So kind of have our own niche, and I just leave them be, and I'll post every once in a while in there, but that whole group's just it's so changed now. The people that are in that community and that group, like I think back in the days, 12 years ago, how much cool stuff was going on. Now you look in there and it's like, oh, I'm installing my True Heart lowering springs and just so many junk parts just being thrown around in the group. And yeah, I mean, everyone has stories of different companies that we've dealt with through the years. I try to give a good level of service. I'm sure not everyone has been thoroughly happy with me at one point or another. I can only do so much when it comes to parts being out of stock. And the problem is a lot of people nowadays, when they order stuff online, they don't read anything, they don't understand anything, and then they kind of get upset. But it is what it is. Like my biggest advice to any ordering parts, and you'll see me comment time and time again online. If you email a company and you don't get a response asking about a part, it's a clear indication of who you don't want to deal with. And part of the reason I got into this business was because the customer service aspect of letting customer know about parts or responding to emails was so bad. And I used to work in an industry. I used to be a project manager, so scheduling and everything was my that's what I did. And I just took what I've done for 30 years and put it into the business and built it off of that. So that's, I guess, why I've been successful. But yeah, most of those dudes are cool. They still kind of text me from time to time and ask questions. It's funny. There's certain companies. I'm not naming anyone because I don't like to do that. But there's companies that have been around in 20 years business. I would say I even get messages from the owners or people that work there asking technical questions about cars that they're selling parts for. And it's just funny to me because I'm like, never even owned one of these cars. You know nothing about it, but you're selling stuff. And then you're asking someone like me knowledge so you can sell more to them. So it's just very bizarre. Um, that's why, I know a lot of EK and EG stuff. I know a lot of the older K stuff. I've had an EG, I've had an RSX, I've had plenty of older Hondas. I just felt like when I started my business, people already had companies doing that stuff, and I didn't wanna kind of, like, start a company doing the older K series stuff technically. So that's kinda why, like, when we did the new website, I told my wife when she was doing the website, I said, "Look, get rid of the EG stuff, get rid of the EK parts, get rid of all the older Honda parts. I just wanna concentrate on the newer stuff." And it's kind of what we built the business around, so plenty of companies out there that still do a lot of business on the old stuff and make them money. Oh, yeah, the Venturi. Will do. Yeah, I'm trying to think if that Venturi is the same bolt pattern as the Accord one. It's only probably the diameter on where the Venturi actually goes in. What I could probably do is if I can get you the adapter for the Venturi, you could always just buy an 11-gen Venturi because it does the same thing if the size is different. But yeah, that my fab guy that makes all the Axion parts, they're actually moving to a bigger shop, so I'm kinda letting them have some downtime to get everything together, and then yeah. Yeah, I hear you. Well, guys, I think I might call it a day. I don't know, it's been awesome tonight. This is probably the best, conversation back and forth that I've had with a lot of people. We'll be on next Monday. Hopefully, I'll actually be in my home office if, the movers actually show up. It's almost been 3 weeks now, and they were only supposed to deliver 1 person before us, and they're still in Texas, even though it's been 3 weeks. So we'll see what happens with all my parts and office and house supplies if they get delivered. Yeah, just every Monday at 8 o'clock. I think 8 o'clock's a good time. Um, Seems that a lot of people are getting on here watching. So yeah, we'll be on next week. If I get any parts in that are new or that, maybe I'll kind of just show them on here and talk about stuff. I'd like to add more content to this rather. Sometimes not a lot of people get on and actually ask questions. So it makes the talk kind of boring, but tonight was awesome. So thank you, everyone. Yep, 8 p.m. East Coast. So 6 Central, 6 if you're in Phoenix, since they don't do a time change. And 5 o'clock West Coast every Monday. My name is Mike. Awesome, guys. If you guys can do a thumbs up on the video, I'd really appreciate it. Like I said, trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. So, yeah, thanks for tuning in, dude. I try to get on all these VTech Academy ones, but for some reason, I'm not getting notified anymore, and I keep getting on halfway through the conversation. So, I'll have to check my settings and figure that out. Anyways, guys, thanks again. We'll see you later.